everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast, a show on the human stories behind indie game development. This is your loyal Indie Diarist and host, Anthony L. Wolf, writer, narrative designer, and senior content manager in social media. You guys already know that, but you will also hear it twice because, as usual, I've said it during the episode's intro too while I was speaking to today's guest. But today's episode is another special one because it's the third and final episode in my little mini collaboration with Indieverse, where I just invited over some beautiful indie developers from the Indieverse community after they won a giveaway in the server. But of course, as usual, before we start and get into the actual episode, I want to shout out to my Patreons, who are Phenocode, Zagini, FishbumpDev, and Peleg. You guys are incredible, and I don't know where I'd be without you every single month. Your support means so much to me. If you do want to support the show and gain exclusive access to episodes in advance and a lot more, you can go to patreon.com/theindiediarist. But you can also support the show in other ways by following on social media, and you can find all the relevant links in theindiediarist.com. But let's get into today's episode, which is episode number 43, Isa Hellström. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast, a show on the human stories behind indie game development. Speaking to you is your loyal Indie Diarist and host, Anthony L. Wolf, writer, narrative designer, and senior content manager in social media, as you might have heard from the intro, and I don't know why I keep repeating myself on these little pre-episode intros too. But anyway, today with me is another very special guest from the indie game development community, but special even more because this is the second at the time of recording it, this is the second. I don't know if it's the order in which the episodes come out, but it's the second episode that comes out of my collaboration with Indieverse, where the founder, Angelisa, posted a giveaway in the server, and 3 lucky people were picked to just come onto the show. And so today I'm speaking to Isa Hellström. I think you are from Sweden, if I remember right. Is that correct?
I'm living in Sweden, yes.
Perfect. Okay, so, I don't want to say too many things about you because I know that my guests are better at introducing themselves. So please, Isa, tell the listeners a bit about you. So what do you do, where you're based, and most importantly, what you're working on right now?
So first of all, thank you for this opportunity.
No worries, yeah.
So, as said, my name is Isa Hellström. I'm originally from Germany and I moved to Sweden 3 years ago. I think I will start with this part. So in Sweden, I started working on my game, Magical Harvest. And also I finished my studies in game development. And after 2 years living in the south of Sweden, we moved, so my wife and we moved to the middle of Sweden, and now we are living in the forest, far away from cities. So like we have 1 hour's drive to the next town. And it's very lovely living in such an environment when you are a game dev. I mean, most of the game devs are living in cities, so this is very special, I think. And we really love it because it's cozy and the work-life balance is definitely better than in the city, at least for us.
Yeah, no, well, I was going to say it does sound very cozy. So for someone who's developing a cozy game, that sounds perfect. Also, living in the forest, wow, that must be interesting. I remember one of the episodes that I had last year was with Lente, who lives on a boat. So indie developers living in all sorts of places all around the world. That must be charming, I'm sure. And well, I always like to open these episodes with little icebreakers, so I'm going to ask you this question, and you can think about it for as long as you want. If you could be any game's character for a day, who would you be, and why?
I think I would love to be the Dragonborn in Skyrim, but I think I would die at the first day. So it's maybe not the best idea to be this.
Yeah, probably not.
But I guess the second thing would be like a magical student in Hogwarts.
Alright, okay.
To be a bit safer and using magic would be my dream.
Yeah, using magic is always a good way to settle things. So I suppose. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, being a Dragonborn would be super cool, but also I would die on the first day on the job. So yeah, it's probably not the best kind of career for creative people, I suppose. But yeah, so I always like to, well, other than the icebreaker, I always like to start from the beginning of with my guest stories. So I guess my first question to you would be related to your childhood. So do you remember what is your earliest or fondest, dearest gaming memory that involves video games?
Let's say my very earliest memory is a memory where I was in the hospital and my dad brought me a Game Boy, a handheld Game Boy, and I was playing Tetris and Mario on this. So this is my first memory about playing games. And afterwards I would say there were a couple of games I played during my childhood. I mean, I was 5 when I started gaming, and since my during my whole childhood, I was a total gamer, I would say, playing all kind of city builders and something like this. But the greatest game I ever played in my childhood or later on is Kingdom Hearts, because it changed my life a lot.
Yeah. Oh, Kingdom Hearts, yeah. I remember the first one. It was my favorite game ever for the longest time. Then a couple more came about, but I still remember the first Kingdom Hearts very dearly. The story and the way it was all approached, and just all those themes, how they were dealt with. I thought it was very, very touching in a lot of ways, and the series itself is really cool. It's just towards the end it becomes a bit complicated, I think. But what can you do? The beginning is great though. If anything, I'm still very, very attached to it. Yeah.
For me, it's the second one. Oh, sorry.
No. Go on. Yeah, I was going to say that the second one is actually one that many people prefer. So yeah.
Yeah, for me it's the second one, because I also wrote a lot of fanfics back then in my youth, and one person was commenting on one fanfic from a pairing I really liked, and which was not very often in the community. So, and this person, I was so happy about this person that I wrote her, and it ended up that we are getting married, or we're getting married.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
This is why the second part of Kingdom Hearts is my favorite one, because I get to know my wife.
Yeah, so basically Kingdom Hearts connected you and your wife now. Wow, no, that's amazing, yeah.
And it's still a part of our life, which sounds a bit crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's fun. Well, there was... one, I think it's interesting because it's from the same kind of mini series, but like the other episode that came out of the Indieverse collaboration was with content creator and game dev Falanier, and he told me that his nickname came from playing World of Warcraft with his wife, and it's something that stuck with him like for the longest time, for 10 years and so. And even more, maybe 15 years. So, I don't know, there's something about games that brings people together, and especially in Indieverse, apparently. So yeah. But no, that's a lovely story. Yeah, that's a lovely story, being connected by a game. That's just amazing, yeah. Right, well then, I suppose you kind of answered this question because of Kingdom Hearts and such, but what games do you remember playing growing up? And rather than that, do you think they're having an influence on the kind of work that you're doing right now with Magical Harvest?
I think, at first of all, it's not related to the work I'm doing now. Not everything, at least. So I remember playing a lot of city builders, like the Settlers, a lot of German city builders, Anno, Settlers, and this kind of games. Pharaoh. I don't know if it's very popular or common to know it, but it was an Egypt builder, city builder. Yeah, these games, and then of course Kingdom Hearts, as I mentioned, Final Fantasy, and then I also started playing World of Warcraft when I was 17 or something, and World of Warcraft is still a part of my life. I'm playing it on and off. It's like you can't go without it, and you can't leave it. It's kind of you don't want it, but you have to.
Yeah, I guess you have to go back to it sometimes. Yeah. Well, but I suppose, I mean, even though you were playing a lot of city builders, I think the resource management element is still something that appeals to you a lot. And I think I see that in Magical Harvest a little bit, that I played anyway from the demo. But we'll get to it, of course.
What I forgot is, of course, Harvest Moon. This was the main inspiration for my game, because, it was the first farming game I ever played, and I just loved it back then. And this is the main inspiration for my game that I'm creating at the moment.
Yeah, no, Harvest Moon is a favorite for many people, especially those who get into creating farming sims, and with good reason. So yeah. But of course, there always comes a point when game developers realize that they want to make games rather than play them. When was that moment for you? Was there like some sort of like a moment of enlightenment? You were like, oh yes, this is exactly what I want to do, or was it something else?
So this is kind of funny and a longer story, if it's okay.
Totally fine. Yeah, we got all the time in the world. Please do.
So in my youth, I started with RPG Maker, but it was just a thing on the side that I hopped onto sometimes for creating some riddles and the world, but not really. I didn't dig very deep into it. It was just a thing. Oh, it's nice to do this, but that's it. I got a lot of problems in school with other people, so I was not able to finish the higher education in my country, and so I needed to find a job, basically. So I made a school education that was not related to some computer stuff. It was a chemical laboratory assistant. Even though I was very interested in doing some computer things, but for this I would need this higher education. So this was not an option back then because I wanted to drop out from school because of all the problems I had with other people.
Okay.
Well, then I was stuck in the chemical industry for 14 years. And I was also raised by my grandparents, which was like, I had this mindset, you have this job and you have this job until you are dying.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very familiar with that. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I had this mindset and I was very unlucky in my job as well. And I couldn't imagine just switching because I didn't have this mindset. It was just not there. And at one point, my future wife moved to me. And she also had problems in her job. So she went to the employment thingy. And they helped her getting a new education. And I was like, wait, this is possible? You can just go there and try to do something new. And so after two years of something, she found out about education for game development. And I watched her doing this. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so jealous. I want to do this as well. And then over the course of 2 weeks of holidays, I started programming a bit based on a course from Udemy. And I was so hyped and happy about this. So like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Beautiful, okay.
3 weeks later, I got a university place. So for distance learning at least, could quit my job a few months after it and go full-time learning and studying. So this was my, the reason I switched to game dev because of my wife. Also because of my wife.
Also because of your wife, yeah, of course. But like, I mean, yeah, it's so powerful to hear that, because I know a lot of other people out there will be like, oh yeah, I feel stuck in my job and I don't know what to do and whatnot. And I wonder if it's possible. And it is possible. I mean, it's never too late. 14 years in chemistry, and then one day you just realize that you wanted to do game development. Some people know it from the start, of course. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a writer in middle grade. But yeah, there's still some things that I'm working out as I go, and I'm interested in game development and kind of upskilling in that sense. So yeah, I mean, it's never too late to follow your passion, I suppose, and it's a story here is an example of that. So yeah, great. And I'm curious, actually, throughout all this journey, of course, especially when you were learning game development in the first at the beginning and whatnot, is there a particular development related challenge that has left a mark on you, and anything you can share with other devs who may want to learn from it? Something that you realized maybe
that you need a lot of money if you start from scratch and start studying. And if you, let's say that the switch between my work and studying and then continuing afterwards, I mean, you need the money for it to quit work. So this should be a thing everyone should be aware of. So at least this was okay from my side, because I had a good job before and a lot of savings, so this was okay. But still, you have always this feeling in mind, hey, I want to earn money. But if you're as an indie developer that is creating your own game, this is always there, money issues. So like, when it's the time that I can earn again money or something, a lot of people are also trying to just stay over water, so to say. But they are not thinking about the future. At one point, you will be old and you need to get stuff money from the state. But if you're not paying them something in beforehand through a job or something, you are basically fucked because you're not getting anything. So since I'm studying, I'm not earning money because I'm developing my game and I don't have an income yet, since I'm also searching for a publisher. But I have always this in my head, and this is kind of annoying and troubling, that I'm currently not paying into this states fund for getting money when I'm old.
I guess you're better placed than most people then, because some people, well, not most people, but some people at least might not realize that they need to do that. As you said, some people, they don't like, they're too worried with staying afloat, and they don't think about the future. So it's always important to have the kind of backup money, savings, in case something happens and whatnot, because otherwise you are pretty much screwed, especially towards your older age. So yeah, I think there's something important there. So yeah, you can follow your dreams, but also make sure you have enough money to follow your dreams at first, because then it's going to be expensive at the beginning. But yeah, so, and I'm curious now, finally we get to the present, and we get to Magical Harvest, which is what you're working on right now. And do you want to say a few words about what the game is, and what inspired it, maybe?
So the game is the game is a farming game, based on the old Harvest Moon games, not a newer one. So also Story of Season are my main inspiration. I'm honestly not a fan of Stardew Valley, which is of course also a big influence, but I'm not a fan of it, honestly.
Okay, yeah, no, it's fine. Fair enough. You got only 100 hours in that game.
So the game itself is about a magical world, or at least it was magical before an accident happened and erased all the magic in this world. And the task of the player is to restore this magic with the farm. So you're starting with some non-magical crops and non-magical animals, and during the course of the game you can evolve them to higher magical forms. And through this you can restore the magic in the world. There's a town in this world where it's kind of the centrum of the activities, except for the farm, of course. And this town is led by 3 factions, and each of these factions has their own mindset regarding magic. So one of the factions believe that magic is like in the cosmos and the stars. One of the factions believe that magic is in the light, and one is the darkness faction, who believes that everything that is based related to darkness is a kind of magical thing or being. And these factions want also to restore the magic in their own way, but they are failing, so you have to help them doing this. Over the course of the game, you're also exploring the reason why the magic vanished, and what the factions have to do with this.
Nice, yeah. Well, it's a nice overview, and there are a lot of interesting elements that I can see in that story, apart from the story being very interesting in itself, but also while I was playing the demo, one of the things that I liked was the fact that you can use spells or runes anyway to influence the way you're managing your farm. And I think apart from the animations being already great in that sense, despite it being a pre-alpha demo, it is interesting. I think there's a lot of potential there to become something really cool that people will enjoy. So that is very, very interesting. So yeah, of course we'll have a chance to share your content details at the end. But yeah, if those who are listening want to check out Magical Harvest and Steam and already wishlist it, please go and do Isa a favor. And not just Isa, actually, because I feel like your development studio is called Moonflame Games. I know there's more than one of you developing this, and I suppose you're developing it with your wife, maybe?
Yes, mainly. So my wife has another job. She's bringing the money in. I'm using her money for the game.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So she's helping me beside of her job, but I'm doing the main work. But since this year, I'm also working with some interns together, also so that they can get some experience in the game field. And as soon as we have funding, I also want to expand our studio.
Right. And, I guess I want to ask this. How does it feel to develop games with your close family, I would say? Does it get challenging sometimes? Does it get interesting? I suppose not, because it seems like you're a very supportive couple. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it works pretty well for us because we have the same mindset, and I would rather say we are soulmates. So this works
Perfect.
pretty well with our connection. I don't think it will work for every relationship because I know a lot of couples can can get angry about stuff maybe that they're not at the same level.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
since we are mostly on the same level, it's fine. And if we would notice that it would influence our relationship, we would also step back.
Yeah, that's there are some words of wisdom there. All right, well then I guess we're getting to the core of this episode, which is always the moment when I ask this question to everybody, basically. So, why are you a game developer? What is it that drives you forward? Makes you say, "I want to develop games."
I guess in this case, I'm very, very selfish.
All right, yeah.
Because I was always very bored in my previous job because I have also ADHD and I need a lot of I need a lot of input. And game dev is exactly what I need. There are so many fields that I can learn, like art and programming and design, and there's so much, and it's basically a never-ending story that I won't be bored. And it's also I can separate my day in in the morning I'm programming, then if I'm bored by programming in the morning I continue with art. So there are so many fields that I can completely fill out my whole day easily without having the feeling to work. That's why I can also work a long time on the game at one day or on one day.
Yeah.
But this works, of course, not for everyone. If it wouldn't be my project or not my passion project, this wouldn't work out. I also noticed when I worked for 3 months for another company, it was not my project. I could make the work, but it was not with this passion I have for my game.
You couldn't feel it. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
So this felt like work, and my game doesn't felt like working for it. It's just I'm doing it.
And I think that's important. Yeah.
This is, I guess, the main reason for myself, at least. And of course, I love it also to see others playing it. I mean, I'm very early in the stage, so I don't have many players, of course, but the people, like friends and so on, who played the game already, it feels just great to have their feedback, to get their feedback. The same as, for example, we got mentioned in a Steam video for 2 days ago, the first time.
Nice.
And it made me so happy. So that my game is worth that others pick it up already. So this made me also very happy. So it's not only for me, it's also for others, of course.
Of course, yeah, no, I see exactly what you mean, but also the fact that it's for you, I mean, it's completely reasonable, and I didn't see anything wrong with that. If it just makes you feel well, and it makes you feel good, and it's something that you like and you enjoy, and you know, it just works. A lot of people tell me I do game dev because it's the only thing I could possibly do, which says a lot of things. It's either I don't know how to do anything else, or I know how to do so many things that they would only ever fill into the game development realm. So yeah, I think what you said is really sound there. And I suppose, what is the opposite of that? So, like, what drives you backwards? What do you think is your biggest struggle as an indie developer?
Business. Everything that is related to business.
Yeah.
So, like creating the company, dealing with all the company forms. I mean, I'm from Germany and I moved to Sweden, so I'm also not good yet in Swedish, and all the forms were in Swedish, of course. Makes sense. Of course. So doing it in a language that is not even the second language or it's the third language, and then just for a few years makes it really, really hard. But also then, everything that is business related, trademark stuff, finding a publisher, and this is all work that is not directly related to progress of the game, so it feels like work.
Yeah, it feels like work, of course, yeah.
And then my ADHD kicks in and you don't want to do this.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, I would say we're near the end, but there's one more question that I'd like to ask you before we get to the final beats of the episode, which is, well, of course, you've, apart from spending over a decade in chemistry, you've seen pretty much all the stages of game development, from being a student, albeit in your own time, to working for another studio for like 3 months, albeit a limited time, and now you're actually working on a game with your own studio. So based on your experience so far, if there's one thing you could change about the games industry, what would it be?
I would change the mindset of publishers. Like, they only, or at the moment at least, they prefer mostly short development times, of course, with the less amount of money, and the wages should be still high enough so that the people are not running away from your studio.
Yeah.
And then there should be tons of features that are unique. So it's a kind of impossible thing that they want at the moment. So this would be the main thing I would really want to change.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bubble. The game development is a bubble right now, and it feels very full. So it might be bursting really soon. We'll see where we get to with that. Okay, well then I guess. Right. Well, I could ask you this question in two possible ways, but let's see what comes out as I say it. I've got a couple more fun questions for you before we wrap up, and one is. Imagine writing a letter to yourself, but maybe towards the end of your chemistry journey. What would you say?
Do it.
Okay.
Or maybe don't do the education. Just start learning with Udemy.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Because education was nice for the basics, but I could also learn everything I need with Udemy in a short amount of time.
That is true, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some of the courses out there are just amazing, and having the degree that if you're just going indie, it doesn't necessarily help you out that much. Although it could. I mean, it's debatable, but yeah.
But of course, it depends on the university. There are special game dev universities and everything. This would be more feasible than the one I was. Mine was kind of all-rounder university that. We're just having this game dev course, but it was not really a good game dev course, I think. So this depends, of course.
Yeah, and I suppose it depends on the person too, because if you like something really structured, then university gives you that. If you like being a bit more of a free learner, then self-learning is valid too. But yeah, as you say, it depends on the course and the person and everything. So yeah. And yeah, now this question should be really fun. If you had unlimited budget and time, what game would you create?
The game I'm creating now. So I would finish it, of course, and afterwards I would like to make, at least if it's not related to Magical Harvest, I would like to make a game with vampires. Because I think there are two less games with good vampires out there. Yeah. At least not with my thing.
That's great, yeah. And you know what I always say when I get to this point, that there are two kinds of people. Those who say, I would keep doing what I'm doing now, and those who say, I would like to do a big MMORPG like World of Warcraft. So I think in your case, and I always like to say that if you say that you would be doing what you're doing right now, but bigger, I suppose you're on the right track. So that's a good sign to you, and I had no doubt, because I can see the kind of passion that you have when it comes to talking about your projects and game development. So yeah, that's something really special to you. So yeah, well, what can I say? It's been a beautiful episode, nice, short and sweet, and I think it's time for some parting words now. First of all, thank you so much for wanting to come onto the show, because then you won the giveaway spot, but in the first place you were interested in doing this. And what I would like to know from you now is, where can other people find you? And if they do, what's the best way to support you?
I'm mostly on Twitter, under Moonflame Games, under Magical Harvest, sorry. And also Isa VII, so this is my other name there. Or also on Discord, in our Discord server for Moonflame Games. And of course on Steam, and on Steam are all the links to the rest, of course.
Perfect, okay, right. So I will obviously put all of these links in the description of the episode, so people can go onto the description and check out your profiles and such. But yeah, what else can I say is thank you again so much for being part of the show. I wish you all the best with Magical Harvest. I know it's going to be great, and I can see the passion that you're putting into it. Also the story, I find it really interesting, so I'll watch it very closely. And yes, well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Alright, friends, and that's a wrap on another episode of the Indie Diaries podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Isa for being an amazing guest. I loved hearing your story. I loved the wholesomeness of your Kingdom Hearts journey that brought you to meeting your wife. It was just amazing and beautiful. Thank you again, and best of luck with Magical Harvest. I think it's going to be a nice and cozy farming sim for a lot of people to enjoy. So, if you guys enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the show or leave a rating. Anything helps. You can find the show on all the major all the major podcasting platforms, but also now on YouTube, where I regularly publish shorts, which are, of course, in my case, with short clips from my episodes with the video component as well. So make sure to go onto YouTube, look up the Indie Diarist, and subscribe if you want, because there's going to be a lot more content coming up over the next few months, and not just related to the episodes. I have quite a few things in mind. If you want to support the show in any way, don't forget that you can go to theindiediarist.com and find all the links to Patreon, the Discord server, YouTube itself, and of course all my social media channels. And yes, well, that's it. Any little thing counts, because this show is entirely listener supported at the moment. Other than that, well, if you are an indie game developer yourself, like Isa and all the other people that I host on the show, please get in touch, because I would love to hear from you and share your story with the rest of the world and all the amazing listeners in the Indie Diarist community.